At that time, were you a captain?
Yes.
Did you have leadership responsibility at the Perry Police Department?
Yes.
So were you instructing other law enforcement officers on how to do their job?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and part of that was how to do a scene investigation?
Yes, sir.
Had you provided any sit-down training, or was it all field training for these officers?
Most we have an FTO program, which is Field Training Officer Program in our department. When an investigator comes to the Criminal Investigative Division, and it's usually a 3-4 month program that they shadow with another detective to learn the ins and outs.
And so you were the person whom they shadowed in order to learn how to do their job?
No, usually it's a more senior detective is usually who they do it.
But you were well versed in scene investigation techniques at the time that you went to Ms. Grinstead's house that night?
Yes.
And you drove 1 hour and 20 minutes one way to get there, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Fair to say that before you even got to her house, you were very concerned for her and her safety?
Yes.
And the point of you going there was to try to figure out whatever you could about what had happened and why she wasn't responding. Is that
Right,
fair?
correct.
You had left her several messages by the time you got there.
Yes, sir.
When you got to her house, did you park directly behind her car?
I did.
All right, I think I have it up. This is State's Exhibit 40. You can take a look at that. So when you got out of your car, did you go directly to the front door?
Yes.
And then you left the front door porch area and went back to the carport. Is that correct?
Went to the front door, knocked on the door, which caused the dog to start barking. I walked back towards the carport area because there's a chain link fence the dog was in, and looked under the carport, didn't see any lights under the carport, then calmed Dolly down, and then came back and knocked on the, well, I put my hand on the hood of the vehicle, back of my hand, just laid it on the hood, and it was cold.
So when you left the carport area, is that when you went back across the front to Ms. Grinstead's master bedroom window?
Right. Well, actually, if you're looking at this picture here, and I reckon the best way to describe it, looking at it, the far left window that you can see is the window I could see the ambient light in, like a computer screen is the best way to describe it, like a screensaver that was on a computer. And it was, you know, and I couldn't tell which room it was coming in, but it was dim light, and I knocked on the window.
But that was, as the picture that we're looking at, is that on the right-hand side of the house?
No, it's on the left hand.
The left-hand side.
Yes, sir.
What I'm trying to figure out, sir, I'll show you State's Exhibit 41.
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned that these stone pavers or whatever you had referred to them, these are the walkway up to her front porch, correct?
That's correct.
And the specific item that the state referred to is the glove, right?
Correct.
And the glove was white?
Yes.
How many times did you cross over this area of the yard while you were investigating what was going on at her house?
Once going to the house and once going back to my car.
So 2 times you crossed over that area?
That's correct.
Fair to say you were trying to be alert to see if there's anything unusual in the yard?
Yes.
Okay. Did you, and I guess from your statement, you mentioned you didn't see anything unusual outside the house, right?
Did not. There was a jack-o'-lantern that was lit up on the front porch. And that's the only thing specific other than Dolly that I remember seeing.
And I guess, are you still of the opinion that you would have noticed the glove if it had been there?
You know, I think when getting out of the vehicle, I was so fixated on the house when I was walking to it, you know, focused on getting to the door, to knock on the door to see if she was there. When I saw her car there, I was kind of, okay, she's here. Car's here. She's here. and went straight, you know, just kind of, I reckon, lack of a better word, tunnel vision, straight into the front door. That was the first place I went, straight up to it. You know, I really wasn't at that point in time looking around for items or looking at that point. I was just trying to get her to the door to make sure she was okay. Now, I think I was on the phone when I walked back to the car with Miss Faye, getting an opinion that I need to get Mr. Joe up to come over, because I think she thought Mr. Joe had a key.
Okay, so your testimony is that you walked over that area twice.
Yes, sir.
And you can't say one way or the other whether you would have noticed it.
I can't. I did not see the glove.
May I approach, Judge?
Sure.
Mr. Dykes, do you recognize that document?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a GBI report. It's the report of my interview.
Okay. Does it appear to be a complete and accurate copy of the interview summary that you gave?
It does.
Can I turn your attention, sir, to page 8 of 14?
8?
8, yes, sir, 8 of 14.
Okay.
At that time, you told the GBI there were no other vehicles at the residence, nor did he see any glove in the yard, which he thought he would have noticed had one been there.
That's
Is that
correct.
still true?
Yes.
So I put up on the screen there what we marked as Defendant's Exhibit 1. Do you see that?
I do. It's the front door.
Front door to what, sir?
Tara Grinstead's house.
And do you see an upper lock on that door?
The additional lock?
Yes.
Is that what you said? Yes, sir. I do.
And what kind of lock is it?
Chain link?
Is it a lock that can only be locked from the inside?
Yes, lock. Yes.
How long were you at her house before you left?
10 to 15 minutes max. Maybe not that long.
And on the photo there, sir, hanging the photo, hanging
Okay.
on the door handle there, can you tell us what that is?
Looks like chimes. Like a.
The chimes are designed to alert Ms. Grinstead when somebody opens the front door.
Correct.
Yeah, approach Judge. I've already shown this to the state. So you may or may not recognize this. You had talked about on a direct exam about an area where the other door was located. Do you recognize this document?
I don't.
Fair enough. Sir, did you have an occasion to talk with Ms. Grinstead about anything she was fearful of?
She was in fear. She was. One of her biggest fears was somebody coming in her house and getting her.
Was that true in October of 2005?
Yes.
In fact, when we spoke, you mentioned that was her greatest fear, wasn't it?
That's what she had told me.
So if that was her greatest fear, knowing Ms. Grinstead the way you did, do you have an opinion one way or the other as to whether or not she would have locked that upper lock when she was at that house?
At night, I would think she would, in my opinion.
That's all I had, Your Honor. Thank you.
You read your evidence off.
Do you ever have an indication that she's been denied Ms. Grinstead?
No.
So your indication that she was in fear of other persons, is that based on what she told you?
She told me that.
Did Ms. Grinstead ever talk to you about Marcus Harper?
She did.
And when Ms. Grinstead would talk to you about Marcus Harper, would it be fair to say that she indicated to you that he was abusive?
Correct.
When Ms. Grinstead talked to you about Anthony Vickers after that incident occurred, did she ever admit to you that she had a sexual relationship with Anthony Vickers?
She did not.
In fact, did she specifically deny having a sexual relationship with him?
She did.
Did Ms. Grinstead ever talk to you about Rhett Roberts?
Yes.
And when she spoke with you about Rhett Roberts, did she ever indicate to you whether or not they dated?
I think she did say that they had gone out before.
Do you recall Ms. Grinstead talked to you about her concern for Rhett Roberts and how she wanted to help him?
She did.
Would it be fair to say that Ms. Grinstead wanted you to have very specific ideas about things going on in her life?
Yes.
Other than what Ms. Grinstead told you, however, did you have any personal knowledge of any of those things?
No.
The evening that on Saturday, when you spoke with her and you said that she was initially down or upset, I apologize, I don't recall your words. Do you recall why it was that she was upset?
I don't know, other than, I was thinking maybe because I was with my friends doing stuff and then she was down in Ocilla with her friends doing stuff. I mean, that's only my guess. She didn't come out and say that that's what the case was, but she seemed, just distraught.
So let me ask you this, and again, I apologize, I know it's probably a touchy subject, but was Ms. Grinstead jealous when you would spend time with your wife and your family and not her?
No, she was,
Do you recall, I apologize, and I can let you look at your report, the summary of your report, but it looks like you still have it in front of you. Do you recall indicating to law enforcement that the reason she was down that night was because you got to stay at your house with your family and she had to go to somebody else's house?
Yes, I did. Yes, that's correct.
And in order to make her feel better, what did you do? After you spoke with her on the phone and she was down, in order to make her feel better, what did you do?
I called her back and just was cutting up with her.
Did that seem to make her feel better?
It did.
Did Ms. Grinstead like attention?
She did.
Do you have any knowledge as to whether or not Ms. Grinstead was actually fearful in her home, or perhaps she just wanted you to believe that?
The only thing she had ever mentioned to me about Marcus had come over uninvited several times, would just stop in and just come over, and that she didn't like it when he did that because unannounced, and
Did she ever tell you that she had actually gone to Marcus's house and beat on his window until he came to the door to talk to her?
No, she never mentioned that to me.
Did she ever tell you that just a few weeks before she went missing that she completely broke down on the side of the road because she found out Marcus was dating someone else?
No.
Did she ever tell you that she broke down and was so distraught that Marcus's stepmother and father had to actually come get her and take her away from, or take her back to her residence?
No, I didn't know any of that.
So I go back to, would it be fair to say that she wanted you to believe that she needed protecting from Marcus?
That'd probably be fair to say.
What about, would it be fair to say that she wanted you to believe that she needed protecting from Anthony Vickers?
Yes.
If you learned that in fact she had a sexual relationship with Anthony Vickers, would that have changed your opinion as to the situation?
Mine and her situation? Most definitely.
Well, her alleged fear of Anthony Vickers on that evening. If you knew that she was actively in a sexual relationship with him, would that have made you see the situation differently?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if she actually had Anthony Vickers' phone number saved in her cell phone under the name Tony?
No.
Would that surprise you?
Yes.
And on the evening that you went to Tara's home, evening into the early morning of Monday, what was your primary focus?
Repeat that, please.
What was your primary focus?
What was the
When
date?
you were when you went to her home on the evening, Sunday evening into Monday morning, what was your primary focus in going there?
To locate her, to make sure she was okay.
And were you looking for evidence of a crime, or were you looking for her?
Looking for her.
When you checked the hood of the vehicle, why did you check the hood of the vehicle?
To see if she just pulled up before I got there.
Okay. And if the vehicle had been warm, would that have been an indication to you that perhaps she was inside ignoring you?
Yes.
What would, if the vehicle had been warm, engine running, what would that have meant to you?
That she was probably at home or in the area.
Okay. And other than Ms. Grinstead being down that evening about the two of you being apart, did she seem in any way different from any other time?
No.
And when you gave her the attention she was seeking that evening, did it seem to change her attitude or her disposition?
It did.
I don't have any further questions.
Any follow-up, Mr. Murphy?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Dykes, thank you for your testimony, sir. You're welcome to stay or go. I'm going to release you at this time. The only thing, please don't discuss the testimony you've given to this jury this afternoon with any other witness in the case.